that's out there in TV land. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the November 5th, 2012 Planning Board meeting to order. The first item on the agenda are the minutes. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move the minutes of October 12th, October 9th, and the 23rd, as amended.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda are approval not required.
And there are none.
There are none. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a decision that we're going to take out of order. Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we take the Green Cove LLC out of order.
Second, discussion. Go ahead and read it, Jim.
We have an email from the applicant. Dear Mr. Ralph Herbst, Chairman, Falmouth Planning Board, Town Hall Square, regarding application of Air Park Homes Homeowners Association, Inc. and Green Cove LLC for the modification of a definitive plan / special permit. Dear Mr. Herbst, on behalf of the Air Park Owners Association, Inc. and Green Cove LLC, I would like to request an extension of time for the decision on the above entitled matter so the materials submitted today by the applicants to be considered by the board can be viewed by staff and council. We request an extension until December 12th, 2012, with understanding that the matter could be brought before the board if the requisite quorum could be obtained on a meeting date before then. Thank you very much for your consideration. Sincerely, Eric Turkington.
We received this email this afternoon, I believe.
Discussions this afternoon, so we request an extension.
Is December 12th a regular meeting for us? Is that a Tuesday? Does anyone have a calendar?
It's going to be if I can read the letter again, I believe it should be extended to the Wednesday.
I thought he gave
To December 12th, with the understanding that the matter could be brought before the board if the requisite quorum.
December 12th.
There'll be a meeting on December the 4th. There'll be a meeting on December the 11th. But we need that extra day to record your decision.
Okay.
With the town clerk.
So we would then we would entertain this decision on December 4th?
They would ask to extend that time till December the 12th. You can bring it up any time before that.
Before that.
But your decision date was back on the 28th of November.
Right.
Because you have
27th
intervening, you have the holiday intervening. I didn't want to bring the decision to the last meeting of the board.
Okay.
So in my discussions with the attorneys today, it was decided that best to at least extend that time frame. Give us time to review the material that was submitted today. And this way the board is free to consider it in its entirety without being rushed. So the board would need to vote to grant that extension at the request of the applicant to that date.
We will do that tonight.
Yes, you will.
Okay, and then for the benefit of those who came for this decision tonight, can we give them a tentative date in when we will have that on our agenda again?
The soonest you will meet again possibly will be November the 20th, if I can get the requisite quorum, because we need the 5 out of 6.
Okay.
At the very latest, it would be November 27th.
Okay, did you folks get that?
Office space that's in this building. Drainage, I had a referral from the engineering department regarding the drainage. There was basically one comment, added some drain lines from the downspouts and roof leaders in some of the locations to go into the leaching structures. Otherwise, some of the downspouts would go onto the pavement and just flow across the surface and into one or the other of the drainage areas. This area here, there's a high point, it will flow down, actually go into a naturally vegetated swale. Have to make a small berm across there to have the storage volume required for this much area. This is the preferred method, where it's not going into a leaching pit, but rather infiltrate slowly into a naturally vegetated area. A small drainage catchment area at this entry, with one catch basin and a leaching pit. This area will flow down. There's a catch basin here to intercept some of it. The rest of this will flow. This parking lot goes into this catch basin, and the rest of this area goes down into these with 2 leaching pits. This area right here is actually on an access and utility easement over Lot 1, which will be extended at some time when and if Lot 1 gets developed. We have the screening of the evergreen trees along here, the leyland cypress, hemlock, possibly cedar trees. There's already a good screen of native oak trees mainly along this area, and it will be then filled in more with these proposed trees along here. Added bike rack for alternate transportation. This is fairly close to the bike path, where people could come down the bike path and across and get to work this way. A dumpster was put in where these businesses can share one dumpster. If you looked at the the coverage calculation, you might have noticed it doesn't add up to 100%. And that's because I didn't add in the existing stone wall that's through here. So it could go either way. But basically, 50% green landscape space and 50% coverage by structures, paving, and parking, which meets the requirements for the zoning district.
Point out the dumpster again, please, Mr. Bunker.
The dumpster in this corner here.
Okay. I think it's on there.
Yes.
This one dumped here.
It's what I have. There's some fill slope in here. That was another concern Mr. Curry brought up. This will be stabilized, vegetated on here. The building will be solid foundation, and that slope will be stabilized well. So that when all the rainwater is caught and goes into the drainage, erosion going down the hill. That's what I have. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, before we do that, are there any comments from the staff?
No, sir, at this point.
Okay. Questions from the, yes, Paul?
Mr. Punk, I have a couple of questions on the drainage. Between the existing building and the proposed building number 1,
Nice and loud, please, Paul.
between the existing building and proposed building number 1, the roof drains go to the parking lot, but I don't see where it goes from there. Does that just go off?
This drainage, basically a 1% slope down, and this area will go into the catch basin that's near the entrance.
So it flows onto the pavement and runs the pavement all the way to the entranceway? Is that right?
Yes.
And on the right-hand side here, there's a, looks like a swell area going to the, is that what's intended there?
Down here?
Yeah.
That's
Just a
a
swell area
swale.
going down the incline?
There's a low area in here, yes. And
Is that paved?
there's
Is
a-
that outside?
That's, mention that's on it. That would be a paved or rock line swale.
It's not indicated, but. I
And a
assume
small
it would.
berm would have to be built across here to make it a proper basin.
Thank you.
Other questions from the planning board? Jim?
I think I see it, but I just want to confirm. The numbers, I want to make sure that there's no way that the water runs off the back of this lot, to the slope right here. Am I reading the hill being at 97 in the parking lot? Where is it, I see a number there, that must be the distance, but it's at 96.5.
Yes, that's the elevation of the catch basin. There's it's not specific, the grade beat to the south of that is 97, and it would be higher. There's a berm, there's a double line there, which represents a Cape Cod berm along the edge of that parking area.
I mean, it's from 97 to 96.5, is that an adequate slope for that distance?
He said it's a slope.
It's an adequate slope, where it's adequate freeboard so the water will go in there, yes. They have it's a Cape Cod berm, which is 3 inches high, and then another 6 inches or more up before it starts going down. So
Okay.
there's a good 6 inches or more above the catch basin rim before it slows down.
So this catch basin catches everything here all the way up till you get to where the 98 line and starts pitching the other way, right there, right?
Basically right here.
Yeah, okay.
It's the parking here. Yes.
Other questions from the planning board?
It's 99.6, so it's half.
What's retaining the roof, runoff on the back of building 2?
And if you see there's a line that says, again, small RD roof drains, they have a flexible pipe running around from the downspouts
Right here.
into this leaching tank.
Oh, they run along the back of the building there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions? I have one, Mr. Bunker. Would there ever be a tractor trailer entering this facility?
I believe there would be.
Potentially, but
Not necessarily.
we don't know.
Oh, okay. But I mean, could a tractor trailer maneuver in there
Yes.
sufficiently? Mr. Bunker?
Yeah. Yes, it would depend. I mean, certainly from this way.
I know they could get in. Can they maneuver in there, I'm asking? I mean, is it,
Yes, they would have room. This is a fairly wide opening here. If they came to this point, they could back in and then pull back out.
so that meets the criteria for, there's no loading docks or anything there, right?
It's not a commercial facility.
Okay, so there are no loading docks, okay, all right. So they could actually park out in the middle and hand truck stuff in and all that kind of thing?
If
All
they
right.
had to, yes.
Okay. Other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, Paul and I still have this question between proposed building number 1 and the existing building with the elevations. You said that's a 1% grade that goes down to that catch basin at the entrance? Because we've got a
From
lot.
90, the catch basin is at 98.4,
Yeah,
and
and
that far corner is 110 feet away, which would be 1% be 99.5, and that's at 99.8, so it's a little more than 1% slope.
okay, and it's going to do that, huh?
Actually, the town, the engineering standards for road construction is 0.8% is in the.
Okay, so then, our staff, a site plan report from our staff has a couple of open items yet on there. One is the parking lot line for the setbacks.
And cured.
Been cured, thank you. Okay, that was, and then the lot coverage, calculate the lot.
Cured.
That's cured, okay. Then we have the Department of Natural Resources referral for the wildlife corridor.
Received,
We've received that.
they would request,
Could you point out the wildlife corridor, Mr. Bunker, please?
The entire site is in the wildlife corridor overlay district.
correct.
The entire site?
So what
I
they
thought it was
typically want is
here
some,
somewhere. I'm sorry, I thought it was skewed to the west there.
No, the district itself, there's a zoning district
Yeah,
that this parcel resides within. inside that district, the Department of Natural Resources may or may not require that a certain area be left open for the grading.
Right.
And in their referral,
I think it's indicating the handicap parking.
you may want just the secretary read that. It's kind of small font.
This
but
is the
it's
referral, Jim, would you read that for us?
from the Department of Natural Resources.
Department of Natural Resources has the following recommendations. 1, the east of the easterly driveway remain open. 2, the proposed building 2 remain at least 23 feet back from the lot setback to the west. And 3, on lot 2, any proposed structure remain at least 30 feet from the west of the easterly bound. Respectfully, Chuck Markinson, Acting Director, Department of Natural Resources.
Okay, I'm trying to understand that last sentence. Would you read that again, please?
On lot 2,
Yeah.
any proposed structure remain at least 30 feet to the west of the easterly bound.
We actually have about
West.
400 feet.
I'm sorry.
I had a question about that too. I think we're about 400 feet from the.
Yeah, okay,
east of the
that would be
bound
from
to-
over here all the way
to
over to here.
proposed
Okay,
structure.
so, all right, so that's complied with.
Going in reverse
20.
order, 2, the proposed building 2 remain at least 23 feet back from the lot setback to the
Okay, that's
west.
23.2,
And it's 23.
and the first one was
East of the easterly driveway remain open.
east of the drive. Okay, now so all three have complied with it. Yeah, okay, all right. We have landscaping, detail the tree species. I think you've mentioned that already. Oh, Jim, I need this back.
They wander off.
Yeah, that could wander off with me.
Okay, so you specified that there would be pine trees, is that what you
The
said?
white pine, or Leyland cypress, or red cedar,
Yeah.
evergreen trees for a screen.
Do they stay vegetated on the low side as they grow? So that if they
White
grow up,
pine.
you couldn't see underneath them?
The cedars and Leylands do. The white pine will tend to lose their lower branches as they grow up.
Okay. We have an issue about the parking setback. Has that been resolved? Okay. We need a referral from the water service. We have that. And we need a referral from the sewer septic. We got that? We have that. Okay, so that takes care of that. And then the last one is the design review. Thank you, Jim.
This is no handwritten note. We would like to see the landscape plan. The Department of Resources would, Design Review Committee would request trees to be planted in the front of the buildings.
In the front of the building, okay. Thank you. In other words, that would be in those little green vegetated areas there in front of the buildings. Something, the trees be planted. And the landscape plan, is that underneath here?
It's on the plan.
It's on the plan, okay. So they haven't seen this plan yet?
The referrals. I don't know what they've seen, but that's the referral I came back.
Okay.
I can address that for the record. I'm Laura White and I represent the applicant. This was the plan that was given to design review. We went to the meeting showing the evergreen screens. This is a contractor's yard and, we have not planned for trees at the front of the building just because the site is going to be completely buffered from the road. You're going to have the internal, people there only. So we just felt that you really don't need trees in front of these buildings. I mean, given this industrial nature or use of this site and the fact that it's buffered from the street.
Might you consider some shrubs, that's all? I don't know. Contractors have a way of finding
Yeah,
shrubs
they could do
around
some,
town.
they could do some
From other
foundation,
sites.
some foundation planting, sure.
Yeah, okay.
But major trees, if that's what they were, that wasn't brought up at the meeting, so.
Understand, okay.
That was sort of something that came after the fact, but foundation plantings, yes, could do that, just really would like to avoid large trees out there.
Okay, so then we have received a referral from the design review committee. Okay, so that cleans up the staff report. Now, no other comments from the board. I'll solicit comments from the public. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Eileen Ryan O'Doherty.
Eileen, stand up
Oh,
if you would,
sure,
please,
sorry.
and then go over
Hello?
there and face
I
that
swear
way.
to.
Would you go over there and face that way?
Yes,
There we go.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Do you know my motivation for this scene? Hi, my name is Eileen Ryan O'Doherty. I live at 715 Thomas B. Landers Road, across the street. My question is, what is going to be happening with lighting in this environment, especially at night? So what will the neighbors be experiencing as far as any ambient lighting coming from the site? My other question primarily was, what will the structures actually look like? Because that hasn't been described. They're buildings, but what are they made of? What is the siding like? What's it going to look like? Doesn't matter to me that it's buffered. It's, you know, I think we need to know a little bit more detail. I'm sure that's worked out, but if they could share that, I'd appreciate it. So, lighting and what are the structures actually going to look like?
Fine, and could you
Thank
point
you.
approximately where your home is on that chart? It's not designated on the other side of the road, but I mean, could you point approximately where you are?
Where's the house? Let me see.
I could do that. for
Yeah,
you.
he can.
Okay,
Mr. Directional.
Yeah, our driveway is right down here.
okay, thank
So
you,
our property extends out that way there, but our driveway's right there.
thank you.
And I did see a deer cross here, by the way, quite successfully the other day.
Ooh.
So,
All right.
very well.
Thank you,
Thank you.
those are good questions, and under the landscaping plan, which is, it's on here, lighting is usually included. So, Mr. Bunker or Ms. Moynihan, would you speak to the lighting, please?
The lighting, again, it's a contractor's yard site, so nighttime use is not something you're gonna see. There would be building lighting, likely over the doorways or the bay doors, for security purposes, with down shields. The lighting, as I think would be required, would not spill off the property. As far as what the buildings will look like, you know, again, this is site plan review, so we don't typically get into the architectural details of the buildings. We did file some of those plans just for reference. The buildings are designed as barn-style buildings. The plans were, I think, well publicized during the rezoning hearings, and that concept is staying in place to try and complement the neighborhood, make a nice transition to other uses in the neighborhood. So those buildings would be proposed as a Cape Cod gray type structures, white trim, nothing vibrant in color or anything like that.
As I recall, those were presented at the previous hearings, and they were, in my opinion, quite attractive. Mr. Curry, where would those be now? Would there any of those be in the, lovely.
You're in the final.
Wow, you are way ahead tonight.
I was well trained.
Are these the only copies we have?
At the moment.
Okay, if you could look at those and then return them to us before you leave tonight? So that takes care of the lighting and the renderings for the buildings. Further comments from the public?
I did have a question, and it's just simply because I wasn't copying down my notes quick enough. My name is Hugh O'Doherty. I live at 715 Thomas Landers also. And I just wanted to hear again, what are the purposes of these buildings? What's the intended purpose of the two?
Contractor's yard, office, and contractor storage.
Okay, so this will be storage, and this will be storage?
No.
Possibly,
And do we know what we're storing in there? What we intend to store?
no.
Okay.
I believe This plan shows garage and storage as building number 1, which Mr. Bunker indicated would not have any water and would not have any bathroom facilities. So that's the one, that one. So that would be storage. The next one is office.
Yeah.
And the last one is garage and storage and office.
Okay, all right, so both of these are garage then?
Garage, storage, and office.
No, garage is number
This is-
2,
Okay,
and garage is number 1.
yeah,
But existing building has no garage.
yeah, I understood what this one was, so both of them are garage, the other 2 new buildings are garages?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks. All right, thank you.
Pat?
The front part of building 2 is office.
Right, I understand.
Other comments or questions from the audience? The public, excuse me. Any final questions or comments from the board? Jim?
Just on the lighting, I think it's a very good idea. I don't know if we condition it but that all the building, be on the buildings, be shaded or shielded so it stays on the premises. Is that appropriate to condition it that way? I'd like, when we get to that point, I'd like to do that.
Okay. Yes, Bob?
So, to my understanding, there is no light poles, and all the vehicles will be stored inside on the property.
No, not necessarily. I mean, it's garage space and that it can be driven, some might be parked inside.
Okay, so some will be parked, because I was just wondering, I didn't see any fencing or anything like that indicated.
There's no security fencing, there's a guardrail, so they don't go over the edge there. There's no chain link fence around it or
Okay.
anything.
Pat?
I would like to know whether at the entrance driveways, there will be some low lighting so that, I know when we go to our office at night, sometimes it can be very difficult to see where the entrance is. And this is, it would be hazardous, I think, to slow down and poke along to find the drives at dark. So I'm thinking of some very low marker lights at the entrances that would not interfere with the O'Dohertys at all, but would just simply be markers that people who have offices there could look for to mark the drives.
I think there's actually a street light right across the street
Okay.
that illuminates that area, but I might be wrong.
Yes, Ms. Moynihan?
So then we don't have any objection to that, and I think it's a good idea. You know, we tried to be careful with the lighting because of the neighbors across the street. It is a dark area on that street. Somebody who's coming back and forth from the ice cream and all the time up there, it's dark. So if the planning board would like that, and we can design it so that it doesn't interfere with the neighbors, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just something that people who have offices there would know to look for as a marker for a turn.
Are there any signage, is there any signage proposed for the entrances? Or on the buildings or anything?
Yeah, they will be looking to put a sign at the entrance, so perhaps there could be some low-level lighting below the sign.
Yeah, that might be nice, a lighted sign that, okay. That would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Further comments or questions from the board? Yes, Paul?
Building 1, the roof line goes, or the downspouts drain from the northwest corner toward the west. To go around the whole area, then cross the area, I would suggest you consider putting a downspout on the northeast corner going north, get a lot closer to the drainage. And we can get all that water going through that parking lot.
This way.
Just a suggestion.
Well, there are downspouts at all 4 corners.
It shows it here.
There's a little arrow showing that
Oh.
the water will come out and flow away. So it is at all 4 corners, so there will be some that goes
I see that arrow. That arrow
each
is
way.
Did you see those arrows, Paul?
I mean, they,
On the corners of the building.
alternatively actually go into the rather than going right onto the pavement, probably should go into the grassy area or the, whatever it's planted or the shrub bed and help this, give water to the shrubs before getting on light rains and go directly onto the pavement.
So you can consider that, that's fine.
Further comments or questions from the board? Or further comments from the public? Yes, sir.
Can I make another comment? Yeah. Again, Hugh O'Doherty from 715 Thomas Landers Road. And as far as the concerns, as far as being able to see the driveway, having the experience of 14 years being able to find my driveway at night, we just have a couple of reflectors on each side of the driveway, and we haven't had a whole lot of difficulty people driving anywhere other than where they need to be to get on our driveway. It would be the same with our neighbors too. So I just thought I'd comment for that.
Thank you. So a sign with reflectors and or lighting, whatever. I have, yes, Mr. Zimmerman. I had a comment. Mr. Curry, maybe you could help me with this. As I recall, there is no vehicle maintenance allowed in LIC. Is that correct? And I know that in the garages. I thought that we didn't allow maintenance in facilities like this. Okay, you're not.
I'm not sure, but I'll look it up for
Okay.
you.
I'm just wondering, I think that's important for the environmentally wise, that the, I mean, you know, to change a battery may be one thing, but I'm talking about when you're talking about oil and hydraulic fluids and gasoline, that kind of thing. Did the applicant anticipate any of that type of maintenance on the vehicles there?
Well, I expect, you know, with any contractor's yard, there's likely to be maintenance. I think you might be thinking of properties in a water resource protection district where the zoning bylaw has certain prohibitions or limitations.
Okay.
Certainly under the LIC article, as I read it, there's no prohibition of vehicle maintenance. And we're not in a water resource protection district, so I think it would be quite a burden to say that vehicles can't be maintained on the property.
Okay, we'll ask Mr. Curry to check into that,
Okay.
and then maybe you could get back to him and
Absolutely,
ask
yeah.
him to verify that?
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Would that be good? Okay.
It's a plan review, so you don't get into the
Understand,
use
understand. Further comments or questions from the public? Yes, Ms. Moynihan.
I'll make this very brief. We're obligated to, under the zoning bylaw, to give you some information on traffic. Under the ITE rates for light industrial classification, the peak hour is estimated per 1,000 square feet of building area. This particular use is a very low traffic generator, but again, for the record, and I know Mr. Curtis probably looked at this, but I think we're obligated to give you this information. The peak AM is 0.92 trips per 1,000 square feet. So for this amount of square footage, you're looking at 5 trips. Peak PM is 0.97 per 1,000 square feet, so you're looking at 5.31 trips. So again, very low peak hour traffic generator. The applicant has proposed the bicycle rack, and will also have kitchen facilities within buildings for the employees to have a microwave and a refrigerator, coffee maker to offset that. So it's a very small trip generator to begin with, but the zoning bylaw on site plan review does require some trip mitigation measures regardless of how small your numbers are.
Okay.
Okay?
In the past, we have always encouraged facilities that have employees either at the facility or coming to the facility and then leaving to at least advertise the benefits of carpooling. So if that could be on your bulletin boards, that kind of thing, let your people save some money and also reduce the traffic.
Just file IT rates for the record.
Other comments from the public? Any more final questions from the board? If not, then I'll entertain a motion that we take this under advisement.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? Mr. Curry, when could we get this on our agenda, do you suppose, for a decision?
The earliest would be November 20th. If not, I think our quorum for that date, that'd be the 27th.
Okay, sometime in late in November for this month, depending on our schedule. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pass that to Brian.
The next item on the agenda is a decision.
Sure, just one clean up item here on this draft motion for the board for FW Web under condition number 2.
Okay, condition number 2.
Strike the words Main Street. Substitute Worcester Court.
Okay.
There's
All
a
right.
word process.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a decision. Applicant is FW Web Company. Site plan review to raise existing building and construct a 24,652 square foot building for a wholesale, retail, and warehouse and plumbing facility on 1.36 acres located at 171 Worcester Court. Paul, would you read the motion? Did I ask you to read the motion?
Yes.
He's ready.
Yes. Would you read the draft motion, please?
Sure. Draft motion dated October 15th, 2012, that the planning board vote to approve the application of FW Web under Article 39, site plan review of the zoning bylaw to raise the existing building and construct a 24,652 square foot wholesale, retail, warehouse, and plumbing facility on 1.36 acres located at 171 Worcester Court in accordance with a plan entitled FW Web Falmouth, prepared by High Point Engineering, Inc., dated May 25th, 2012, revised August 8, 2012, scale as noted, with 10 sheets, with the following findings and conditions. Findings. The applicant proposes to raise the existing structure of 171 Worcester Court, 24,652 square foot wholesale, retail, warehouse, and plumbing facility with the associated parking, drainage, and landscaping. The board finds that the site will be served by town water. Design details of utility service shall be under the jurisdiction of the Department of Public Works. Furthermore, curb opening permit shall be required for the proposed entrance on Worcester Court per condition number 2 below. The planning board finds the storm drainage system has been designed by a registered professional engineer to accommodate runoff generated on the site. The board has received a report dated June 20th, 2012 from High Point Engineering, Inc., and finds that the responses address the outstanding questions regarding the drainage design within the board's jurisdiction. The board finds that the project is a net reduction in the amount of peak hour traffic, therefore no additional traffic mitigation is required. The board finds the internal driveways to be adequate to accommodate the anticipated type and number of vehicles maneuvering on the site. The board finds that the project represents a net reduction in the amount of nitrogen entering the Little Pound coastal embayment. In addition, the site is within the proposed Phase 1 sewer area of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan. Therefore, a standard Title V septic system is allowed. The planning board finds the landscaping and lighting plan to be adequate. Conditions. Number 1, the plan shall be constructed as approved. Any changes shall be reviewed by the planning board to determine if a modification of this decision is necessary, pursuant to paragraph 240-183B of the zoning bylaw No permit for full or partial occupancy shall be issued until the planning board is satisfied that the conditions of this approval have been met. Number 2, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall obtain a curb opening permit from the Department of Public Works Engineering Division for the entrance on Worcester Court. All work performed within the public right-of-way shall be conducted under the direction of the town engineer.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Discussion. Pat?
There's a correction in the first line under findings. The applicant proposes to raise the existing structure at 171 Worcester Court, and then you have to put in and construct a 24,652 square foot.
And construct.
A.
Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Everybody see that? That's just a,
Well, very good, you found that one. We plant those in there. Make sure you read it.
No one paying attention then.
good move, Brian, good move. In the past, you couldn't blame your assistant, but you can tonight. Any other discussion on the motion? I have a, let's see, I can't propose an amendment to the motion, can I?
Sure.
How does the chairman?
Yes, you can.
Sure.
You're always a board member.
I know I'm always a board member. Maybe I can't second a motion, that's what it is. I can't second a motion. All right, I'm proposing an amendment to the motion for condition item number 3, and I'm proposing for our consideration this, that the applicant should consider a Title V system adaptable to future sewer hookup. Now that references the fact that the last paragraph of findings talks about proposed Phase 1 sewer area. And so this area could well be sewered in the future. And I'm just saying that the applicant should consider maybe a dead-end T off the Title V system, so that you could hook up to the sewer without digging up your whole parking lot at a future time. So that's my motion. For number 3, I'll read it again. This is for an amendment to the motion. The applicant should consider a Title V system adaptable to future sewer hookup.
Procedure thing, typically when you use the word should, it's a recommendation.
Right. So I use the word recommend?
You should probably couch it in the form of a condition. Right. So you should say, we've done this on plan reviews before, and we recommend to the applicant that you consider such a.
Okay, but it's still a condition, but I recommend.
Well, when you use the word should and the word condition together, it's.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So what are you saying? Where would this?
I would just say, after your conditions, you then have a new topic, recommendations.
Oh, okay.
And you recommend to the applicant that they consider.
All right.
Usually a condition is something you
Required.
require, right?
Okay, I will withdraw my initial motion and restate, for an amendment and restate it. I propose that we, after the conditions, that a paragraph, a sentence to read, the applicant should consider a Title V system adaptable to future sewer hookup. That in itself is a motion for an amendment. Second. Discussion.
I kind of wish you allowed us to second your first motion, because, looking at this in the future, that might be something that we should put as a condition, that people allow for future hookups, as opposed to just a recommendation.
Okay, I mean, I'm looking for input from the board here, because I
right now
I
we're
originally
talking
thought
about-
it would be a condition, but Brian thought that using the word should um,
You have to use the word shall.
Shall, yeah.
If you want it to be a condition.
Right.
You shall do this.
right, okay.
You shall
So,
design your system to comport with any
so
some
Bob,
grade elevations for a sewer system we haven't designed yet.
shall consider, but it's still, it's, the word consider is
Well, I
still
see
in there.
Shall consider.
Shall consider.
It's so noted, I guess.
Well,
It's still
Okay, so
recommended.
then-
And it's still a
all right.
recommendation.
All right, I still, all right, I need more input here because I have withdrawn my original motion and now it's stated as a paragraph. Is it the desire of the board that it be a condition and that we use the word shall? But
I have
I
a
said
question before we go.
consider, yeah, Jim?
I'm just wondering, are we planning to go this direction with the sewers? I thought they're going the other way.
Yeah, I think it's always good, you can always recommend things to applicants, but we haven't even designed
I know.
the sewer yet. And, you know, what those elevations may be, where those manholes are gonna be, whether it's gonna be pumped, whether it's gonna be siphoned. So you should at least alert the applicant that they're in the phase one sewer area.
Right.
It might be that the septic systems are simply abandoned in place, and then they have a sewer hookup because it's coming in from the street. So,
I know, but there is a way of plumbing that, and so it'll be easy for them to abandon their Title V and to hook up to the sewer if they just put in a very small amount of piping to address that in the possibly in the future.
well, I think then at this point, my guidance to the board is that you should couch it in the form of a recommendation until we get a little further design detail. And there will be a town meeting article in the spring for a large sum of money to start that design. So your thinking process is great, but we're just a little bit ahead of it before we start getting into shallows.
So your suggestion is not to make it a condition?
Yes.
Okay.
You recommend it.
I would agree with that, as he pointed out, they haven't designed what's gonna be, it could be a step system that works with a septic tank, we don't know yet, just a heads up for them that sewer might be coming down the road is good enough.
Okay. All right, so just so, I'll just read it again. The applicant should consider a Title V system adaptable to future sewer hookup. That was the wording that I had. Paul?
Perhaps a simple way of doing this, at the end of the fourth paragraph under findings, we say, therefore, standard Title V septic system is allowed. And why don't we just add the phrase, until the sewer system is extended to this area, which they're gonna have to tie in anyway. I don't think we need to make a big deal of it.
Okay.
That
All
might
right,
be the
now
simplest way of doing it.
All right, so right now, we have a motion and a second, and we're in discussion now. Paul's recommendation is that we put it up under the last paragraph of the, well, not the last paragraph, the second to last paragraph of findings. Any more discussion on this? Which way you want to go, Pat?
I prefer having it under recommendations because that makes it a standout, rather than being as part of a paragraph.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how you look at it, how you read it, I think. Same effect.
Okay. So that would be the last paragraph on the page after conditions. There would be, instead of, there would be another paragraph entitled recommendation, and what I'm proposing is, goes under that. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So we got that. So now, we're going to vote, now that we have the amendment, we are back to the original motion. Further discussion on the original motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Congratulations. And, okay. All right, that takes care of that decision. Now we are down to the next item on the agenda, discussion, Article 3 of the annual fall town meeting. Mr. Curry, did you want to bring up anything specific here, or do you want us to talk about it?
I just want to hear what you,
Okay.
board members have to say about it.
Okay. Now, we have had one precinct meeting already,
Yeah,
and that was precinct 1, was it?
Yes.
precinct 4, I went to, and you had also one and 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, so we've had 2.
Yeah.
We've had 2, okay. So then I will entertain a discussion from the planning board members that attended those precinct meetings, and you can inform us of what transpired.
Well,
Yeah, yes, Doug.
I pointed out that I was there representing the planning board, and I would be happy to answer any questions on question 3 and
Article 3?
Article 3, and there was not a single question or
Okay.
any conversation regarding it.
Okay. Jim?
No, I did not make it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rich went to that.
Richard went.
He's not here, but there was information in the newspaper about that precinct meeting. Yes, Paul?
I attended precinct 1 and 2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
With Rich?
Richard was there.
Oh,
I
great.
did not speak, he did.
Okay, maybe you can fill us in then.
He talked about the consequences of not approving this bylaw, how it would revert back to the old bylaw, which I thought was an important point that people appreciated. He meandered a little bit, but basically, the comments were well taken. And I didn't see any hostility toward it, I didn't see a lot of support for it, but I think he adequately answered the questions that did come up at the precinct meeting.
Okay, and those questions were, I mean,
Basically, why are we doing this, what's the consequences if you don't do it? And I thought that was, I don't have my notes here now, but I thought he answered the questions quite.
there was, I believe there was a comment about the selectmen's support or lack thereof.
Yeah, that did come up, was mentioned in passing.
Right, okay.
I will,
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The comment was to define carefully. Let me take back. Richard said that he anticipated an amendment to the bylaw at the town meeting. And he said if it did not occur, he would make an amendment. And the comment was made by, I can't think of her name right now, a long-term town meeting member, that you should define that carefully and review it with town council before you get up at the
amendment?
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and the amendment was?
Well, he didn't define what the amendment was, but he suggested he would make an amendment if no one else did.
Yeah, I believe.
And that was not defined.
What I gleaned from the newspaper article was that the selectmen, that the amendment would exclude municipal purposes and exempt the selectmen in this case, since they're acting on the existing town wind turbines.
Right.
So the existing wind turbines, as we know from our joint meeting, the existing wind turbines, one of the potential remediation solutions is to relocate them to town-owned property in a different location, which this current bylaw would not allow, and that was the reason. So, all right, now we've heard what from the 2 precincts meetings that have already occurred. Yes, Doug?
there's actually one more thing that, although there was no direct questions about Article 3, there was a person there representing the petitioner's article for the other wind-related article, and she made mention of the fact that selectmen were not supporting Article 3, and I pointed out that we had had a joint meeting where we had agreed to form an amendment for that, but she still stuck to the point that currently they're not supporting it, which I thought was a little bit unfair, and I guess that was a point that she made that was somewhat irrefutable, because currently they don't support it as it is.
Yeah, right.
But we have worked on an
Okay,
agreement.
so that that segues us into what we need to do tonight. And that is to decide whether or not we are going to propose an amendment to Article 3. And the way I understand it is, we have choices. We can do nothing and let it go the way it is and see whether it passes, anticipating that the selectmen do not support it as written. 2, we can amend it and say that it has, that municipal uses are exempt. Or 3, we can change the effective date, which was a proposal by Mr. Curry at our joint meeting. So the effective date of this bylaw would be May 2nd of 2013, which would allow them to use the current bylaw as it stands in their deliberations about whether they want to move it to another location, because that's still something that, as they say, is on the table as far as, dealing with the alternatives to the existing wind turbines. So those are the 3 things that I see we have to decide, and we need to decide those tonight. And if somebody else sees another alternative, please say so. But at this point, I'll just open up the discussion on those particular options.
I think one of the
Paul?
concerns is we're in the process of attending these precinct meetings, and we really don't know what else is going to come up at the next series of meetings next week. And there could be a totally different set of issues. We really don't know. So for us to overreact and start changing the bylaw that we spent a lot of time on, maybe we need to just figure out what else is going on and take it under advisement.
Well, I may have misspoke. We do have the potential of holding a meeting just before town meeting over at the school, and we do it on a regular basis. We always post those meetings just in case we have last-minute decisions to make. So we could make that decision that night.
You could. I don't recommend it.
I'm just saying that would be the 11th hour, 59 minute. Paul, you're saying, without us making a decision on one of those 3 options and just taking it under advisement, I don't think that cuts it here. Jim?
I just have a question. The tactic of delaying it to May 1st, I believe, satisfies the requirement for the selectmen's relocating, and that's really the hitch we're trying to get around.
That's true. That's the way I understand it.
And I think that's what we should do, and if there is any amendments we're talking about, I think we really need to have it crafted carefully by town council. I prefer not to make an amendment. I would prefer to solve the problem with the date, if in fact that does it strategically, and then we don't have an issue.
But that would be an amendment.
You would have to offer that.
Offer that, but that's the simplest amendment that doesn't need an awful lot of legal opinion on if it's just moving the date.
You would have to leave a window of opportunity for a specific clientele to apply under the old bylaws.
Sorry, what was that?
Well, so how about, right now there's a
Wait,
moratorium.
wait.
Now there's a moratorium.
Right.
But the moratorium goes away May 1st, doesn't
May
it?
1st, or until town meeting votes an earlier.
I mean,
It automatically-
you can't extend it again.
It automatically goes away May 1st unless it is rescinded by an earlier vote of town meeting. That could either occur here at this town meeting or at the April town meeting. What you do is, if they want to vote the effective date of this bylaw, the effective date of this bylaw would be sometime between the town meeting and some other date, to allow a window of time for a specific clientele where you decide it might be, to operate under the old bylaw if they want to move something or do something. That's an option to consider. That's what the way the board wants to go. essentially, there's a window of opportunity.
So that's
That's
a state law, is it?
No, it'd be simply a staggering of the vote of town meeting and the effective date of the bylaw. For a certain amount of time, the old bylaw will be in effect, and if they want to move them, they can apply to move them.
But your recommendation was for us to say May 2nd or something like that.
That was for instance, it might be
Uh-huh.
something.
Okay. All right, further discussion. Pat?
Okay. I prefer not to make any changes to the bylaw that we currently have. As has been pointed out, we spent a lot of time very carefully crafting it. We will hear discussion from town meeting. They may or may not pass it as it stands. One thing you do have to recognize is that by any staggering of the start date, it does solve one problem that has been put out as a possible problem with the solution, a multitude of solutions that are currently on the discussion table. But it also leaves a window of opportunity for anyone else to come in under our current bylaw, because I think that would be the same window of opportunity for anyone as well as the town to come in. Because the moratorium would stop, and then there would be that open window where our bylaw does not take effect, that if anybody did have plans to put in very large turbines, they could come in with a plan, I think.
Again, you would have to stipulate an amendment of some sort that has a specific clientele meaning. If you have a turbine that's located someplace or owned by someone, the bylaw leaves a window for them to apply to do something very specific, instead of some kind of, that would be a specific,
Exemption.
it's a little more specific exemption. I'm not saying you gotta open for 30 days and see what happens. That wouldn't be a good thing.
Could we give
Okay, I need more discussion, yeah. Doug?
Could we give a limited time municipal exemption?
You can do anything. You can literally do anything. Craft it in such a fashion that you grant exemptions or you don't. It just depends on what you, the board, want to do and town meeting wants to do.
Well, I can say we should consider a 2-month window municipal exemption. I don't know if 2 months is enough, but something like that.
Starting when?
When
After
the
this town meeting?
moratorium ends, and this one kicks in, give that same 2-month window if you think 2 months is enough, or you can adjust it if you think permitting takes longer. Temporary municipal exemption. Would that be acceptable?
Comments? Temporary, Bob?
It looks like we're trying to take care of something that we don't know is ever gonna happen. I would just assume leave it as it is, and I would like to hear what happens on town meeting floor. Because I'd like to see how the stakeholders feel about this, besides the people that we know that would like to amend it or postpone this, or I would just assume let it stand on its own merits. We know what this bylaw is going to do. We can all defend it. We know all the nuances of it. That's why we go into the precinct meetings. And I think when we educate the town meeting members as to what this bylaw is going to do, I think people would be able to make a more informed decision on what we need to do to go forward from here. But I would just like to leave it as it is and not get into trying to make all these amendments and play games with dates and things like that.
Further comments? Pat?
I have another comment on that, because there's another good reason to leave it as it is. The moratorium does go through until the 1st of May. And we should know by then whether the objection of the selectmen is going to have any effect at all. Let's say it is passed at this fall. So we could potentially amend the bylaw temporarily at that point before the moratorium goes away, I think. Okay, so based upon that, Brian says yes. So I would say, let's just see how it goes at this town meeting without changing anything. Want to relocate the turbines, and then we can deal with that at that time.
Why would we be, I'm sorry, could I?
Yeah.
Why would we be more willing to do it then if we're not willing to do it now?
Because we may not have to do it, so let's not.
That we did agree in that joint meeting to try to come up with something.
We did, but I'm saying on second thought, we may not have to.
Well, that was amongst ourselves, you mean, not as a promise to them, but amongst ourselves. Is that you? what
I
you're
thought
saying?
that was the consensus at that meeting, that we would make an attempt to craft some wording that would allow for their option to proceed.
That was
Now-
on the fly. Remember, we were just being presented with that, and we were just going, oh my God, now what?
Right.
And having had some space in which to think about it, it seems that, A, it might not pass. B, if it does pass, then C, if they decide that they want to move those turbines, we can then put an amendment in at the Springtown meeting that would allow that to happen, having more time to give some measured thought to how we want to do it.
We would have to be able to articulate that at the town meeting, this town meeting, to make sure that the public understood that was an option for us to do, to amend it before the moratorium gave up, because April town meeting is before May 1st. Jim?
After listening to all the discussion, I'm leaning very much to leaving it just the way it is, because I am fearful that some people would like to amend it and permanently allow municipal use, and if I think that happens, it totally takes away, you know, all our work was done. So I think we're at risk here of ruining a lot of work by changing it. And I think we should go in with all the hard work we've done, the 2 or 3 years of hearings, many hearings we've been to, all the discussion we've had, and lay it on the line and go forward.
Bob?
Yeah, I just want to remind the board that the selectmen's recommendation was to remove this from this town meeting. It wasn't to amend it, it was to remove it from this town meeting and move it up till the spring. And it was our discussion amongst ourselves to see if we could come up with something that would be suitable as an amendment to this. So I just wanted to remind us.
So that's in their recommendation, it's in the Warren booklet?
No, but at the meeting, now, because when Mr. Murphy said that he wanted us to remove this from the warrant, I believe I'm remembering correctly, and that's when he told us that he was going to speak against it.
We couldn't remove it, we'd have to IP it.
Right. Well, he wanted us to do that,
Well,
if I'm recalling correctly.
yeah, that might be, that's true. Is that what everybody else recalls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Okay, it's my opinion that without the selectmen's support, if we leave it as is, this bylaw will not pass. And so we need to be prepared to make the statement that we can amend it at Springtown meeting to accommodate, well, whatever the amendment would be. I mean, I'm not just sure what the amendment would be. Is it going to be to, if you say, you know, that your amendment is going to allow the current, I mean, that our bylaw will not apply to the current wind turbines, and that there would be an exemption for that? Is that what are we talking about here? If the bylaw doesn't pass this town meeting, and we say to the town meeting members, we can amend it in the spring, what are we talking about? But, Jim?
I think a town bylaw can be amended by town meeting at any time, and I think if it's necessary to amend it, we'll amend it.
What is the amendment going to be?
We don't know yet whether we need to do it or not to facilitate the town relocating their 2 municipal use turbines, 3.
Is that the intent of the amendment, is to
Well, we don't
accommodate
have-
the selectmen?
Yeah, if that's what it takes to move forward, but that can be done at any time, you can always amend it. I don't think there's a difference, we can amend it right now thinking maybe that they're gonna do it, or we can amend it when we know they're gonna do it. So I just think doing it on a maybe is not necessary, and doing when we have to, if it has to be done, it has to be done.
But you have to be able to respond to town meeting members when you say that we can amend it at spring town meeting, and you have to tell them what the possibilities of the amendment are. Pat?
The shape of the amendment at that time would, I believe, start the effects of the bylaw at a date that we determine that hopefully the town would know how much time they need to get whatever it is in place if they are going to move the turbines. Because remember, the moratorium is on until May 1st. So they can't do anything in any case until the moratorium is over.
Right.
So at that point, at Springtown meeting, if the determination is made that, oh yeah, we're going to move those 2 turbines, then we can amend the bylaw to give them that window of opportunity, which is what we were talking about now. At that point.
Right. Okay, yes. Doug?
I think the problem with all this delay is that the turbine options group is working now.
Right.
So if we delay it, we're taking away their opportunity to use the option. That's what they asked for. Delaying it till spring just makes, I don't know what it does for us, but it just screws things up for them. So why can't we come up with something now to try to help them get their support and move forward? It doesn't, is it really gonna hurt us to give a limited time municipal exemption? It's not really, it's nothing really that's gonna be permanent. It gives them a chance to negotiate, and maybe we get their support.
It seems the sticking point is the energy systems prohibitives. The rated capacity greater than 200 kilowatts in any zoning district. That's the linchpin here. That's the problem, because we're not allowing anything greater than 200 kilowatts in any zoning area. So if we were to amend it, we would have to.
250, isn't it?
Well, this is the old copy. So anything greater than 250, so we would have to up that to 1.5 kilowatts or 1.6 or whatever it is. So that would be what we'd have to amend, and not as a system prohibited. We'd have to allow that. We'd have to strike that, the prohibition.
Well, I'm not talking about amending our work, just providing a temporary exemption, municipal exemption from everything there, just to give them a little room to work.
The municipal exemption is going to be very controversial, because there's a lack of trust out there, and we all know that.
Okay, then. Well, I'm just-
But we've discussed that before.
Right,
We
and I
discussed
agree
that
with you.
before.
I agree with that.
That there's a lack of trust, and that if you're going to give the municipality an exemption, then you're going to run into big issues about passing anything, as far as I'm concerned. That's just what I recall, and that's what I gleaned from all I've heard about, all the testimony that we've taken. And so I don't want to stop this discussion. I want us to take it and decide tonight what we're going to do. Are we going to do nothing? Are we going to do a temporary municipal exemption like Doug suggesting? Are we going to change the effective date on it? And what was the other one? Yeah.
Date, I think Pat made a great point about the date changing game, because like she said, then we're opening up the door to everybody. That's a bad idea.
All right, we need ladies and gentlemen, we need to make a decision here tonight. We need to discuss this and come up with a consensus. Pat?
All right, I'm going to throw a motion on the floor then.
Yes, I'll take that. I'll
All
take
right.
the motion.
I move that we keep our proposed bylaw precisely as it is in front of town meeting.
Second.
Second.
This, all right, I have a second and a further discussion. Okay, I will make my comment again, that I think that without support from the selectmen, that we need to be prepared for this not to pass. And we need to be prepared to say that we have some kind of there is an alternative in Springtown meeting, and this will be something that you'll have to say, Pat, because you're gonna be making the presentation, and what the potential options are for that amendment, what types of amendments we could make. Okay, I gave everyone else an opportunity to speak here. I hope everybody's, are any other further comments? Okay, we're gonna vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain. So it's, Paul, how did you vote?
Aye.
Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to 2. The motion passes. Okay, all right, that's good. We made a decision, and that's what we needed to do. The next item, oh no, are there any other comments about Article 3? I mean, I think we've covered that. Okay, the precinct meeting assignments and handouts. Brian has given us a comment on, frequently asked questions. Everybody got those?
Yeah.
Those did not seem to crop up at the two-town meeting, precinct meetings so far. Okay, so everybody's got those, so read those over and be prepared for your representation at precinct meetings. Is there any other comments on precinct meetings? Paul?
Yeah, I had a comment before you moved to precinct meetings. We talked about the presentation that Pat's gonna make at town meeting. Do
Oh,
you wanna discuss that, or?
Sure, yeah, I'm sorry, Article 3, I thought we had,
Yeah,
okay, you
well, I
want
wanna
to
bring it up before you
Sure,
move,
go.
didn't you?
Yeah.
I read through the 4 slides that have been prepared there. I think one of the concerns is graphics are a very good thing, particularly at town meeting. And if you recall, when we went to the Woods Hole Research, they gave us this graphic
I
showing
thought
the
that
relative sizes of that.
I agree with that. That's a very good one.
And I've asked them today whether they would give this to me so we can drop it into your presentation if you agree. So I don't, couldn't get it to me today, but I will give this to you, and it shows the relative sizes of what we're talking about. And I think that might drive home some of the issues, because this is good, but it doesn't sell the item that these things are pretty massive. The other item on this table here, what's the difference? I looked at the old bylaw that Brian gave me, and here it says that the accessory use is in the old bylaw. I didn't see that in the old bylaw, so maybe I'm missing something, but
Yeah,
Was
they're all,
it in
they're all
there?
listed as accessory uses back in the,
I have it here, the one that you got me today, I didn't see accessory use in there.
Yeah,
And
if you go
if we're
back-
gonna present something like this, we gotta make sure it's accurate.
it's extremely accurate. The uses are defined in the districts up forward in the bylaw. So if you go to like the residential districts, section 28, 240-28.
This is 34.
Right, that's just gives the performance standards. But the uses are listed in the districts.
Okay.
So if you go to.
Well, the point is, this should be accurate.
It is.
But the third point I want to make is, we're talking about a drop-dead date of May 1st. And that came up at the town meeting, at the precinct meeting, and I think that should be reflected in here, that what the consequences is if we don't approve this, we go back to the old bylaw. And that doesn't come across in the presentation, so I would suggest you consider doing that as well.
There are more slides than that. We've been evolving it. I think that's a fair way of saying that. But you're absolutely right. That,
I-
it's a drop dead date, and that will be made clear.
And what's the concept, I think the town meeting needs to know that. And on the information I had, that was not
No.
even mentioned. So I think that has to be done as well.
That's an earlier
So
version.
I will give you this, and as soon as I can get the electronic copy, I will give it to you.
And we can scan it.
They can scan that, that's pretty
They're
good.
they're gonna clean up there's a
are.
table in there too, but they'll give it to me tomorrow, and I'll send it to you.
This is wonderful,
Okay,
thank
that's
you.
good. Good point, Paul. Okay, so that wraps up Article 3, unless somebody else has anything else about Article 3.
Just a question for Pat. Pat, when are you working on this, on the PowerPoint?
Off and on with Brian. He's got most of the slides together, and I'm about halfway through the narrative
Okay.
currently.
You want to help?
Yeah, I'd like to help with that.
Okay, I'll be planning to work on that tomorrow to get the narrative finished. I give that to Brian, and,
Well, even just to kind of go through it, because, you know, I taught graphic design for 30 years, so.
oh, okay.
You know,
When do you want to
I'd
sit
like
down?
You think you know something about it?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. I taught third graders how to do PowerPoint, so.
So you can keep track.
I'm not available tomorrow afternoon.
Well, we can mail
We'll
it,
get-
I'll email it to Bob.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we can get a date to get together.
That's great.
Okay, good, yeah, just another set of eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What time are you getting that? Are you going?
I'm
in
not, that's the
Oh,
thing.
you're not?
I can't tomorrow
I
afternoon.
thought you said you
Brian
were working
could
on it.
tomorrow
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah.
No, I'm working on it, to finish it up tomorrow, the narrative. And once the narrative is done, then we
Punch it up.
can, yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, that takes care of Article 3 until town meeting, actually until the precinct meetings. Okay, now the precinct meeting assignments and handouts, everybody knows where they're supposed to be, we've got them all covered. We have the frequently asked questions. Anything else on precinct meetings? Okay, next item on the agenda are releases, I don't believe there are any. Committee reports,
I suppose we could talk about the economic sustainability. We've sort of targeted that as our next element for the local comprehensive plan. And we're making some headway. We've